Kat Miller. Welcome to this very special episode of Passionate Living. Today we're going to meet two very inspired people, Caroline and Galen McDougall. And Caroline's passion to start a coffee alternative that was healthy for you actually ended up supporting an entire community down in Guatemala, and you are going to just love her story. Next, we're going to go to one of my favorite places, hands down in the world, Lake Shrine in Pacific Palisades in California. And we're going to talk a little about Paramahansa Yogananda, who started this gorgeous place back in the 40s, and his legacy has carried on to inspire so many people throughout the years. Finally, we're going to meet with Dr. Curlane Jones-Brown for part 2 of an interview where she talks about how to navigate grief and deal with our young people during these crazy times in the world. So buckle your seatbelt and get ready for an extraordinary journey into passionate living.
I started Teecchino for a purpose. Like many people, when they want to grow their company really fast, they get a whole lot of private equity in. That's not my mode. My mode is to start a business that gives value to the people who supply the herbs, to the people who drink the product, and to make sure that that continues.
I am here with Caroline and Galen McDougall, and oh my gosh, you have the best story. I love Teecchino. I've been drinking it for years. Even before I met you, I was drinking Teecchino. And you have to tell me the story because it's amazing of how you started this company. Talk about living your passion and using something to make a difference in the world, right?
Well, Galen, who's my son, was
6 at the time.
6 probably, yeah. I started even a little before you were 6. But I had an experience in the rainforest in Costa Rica that made me decide to dedicate myself to rainforest preservation. And I had all these skills because I'd been buying herbs for herb companies for a long time. So I decided to start developing ingredients out of the rainforest. And because he was so young, I did it in Central America because it was close by. While I was doing all of that, I was working with a lot of really interesting different products. I was working with honey in the Yucatan, and I was working with herbs. But while I did all of that, I had this dream one night. And in the dream, I heard myself say, the next product I'm going to create is a caffeine-free cappuccino, and the name of the product is Teecchino. So then I didn't know how to spell it, right? I woke up, the first thought I had was, how do I get herbs to run through an espresso machine? But it was the mid-90s, and all kinds of coffee bars were popping up. I mean, Starbucks was just getting going, right? And I thought, oh, they definitely are going to want people like me who can't do caffeine to drink cappuccinos. And so I started at first with the hardest method of brewing, which is putting herbs to run through an espresso machine. And then later on, I made them drip. I made them do everything that a coffee can do. And so we have what we call an all-purpose grind. Does everything coffee can do.
That's what these bags are here. It's loose in there, you can see. And I do remember that day, like coming down from my room that morning, and you were roasting either barley or chicory in our oven, like legitimately roasting it there and trying to figure out how to get it to go through a coffee maker. It's literally, as a literal interpretation of, follow your dreams as you can get, is basically what she's done. And so here we are from a dream to 27 years later.
It's amazing.
The #1 coffee alternative and premier line of roasted herbal teas. Come take a look at the Teecchino warehouse. On this side, we have all of our raw ingredient storage, all of our botanicals that we import from around the world. And then obviously we stage and blend together depending on the flavor and the mix. Our blending room is right over this way, where everything gets mixed together, obviously into bulk totes and whatnot. These are our 2 different blending machines, one that can do up to 2,000 pounds at a time, the other does between 400 and 800 pounds. These are totes of blended product you can see on my right here. So we obviously segregate by allergens, gluten-free.
Tell me how this product helps the people of Guatemala. I love that you're giving back as you do this.
Yeah, well, I told you earlier that I was searching for ingredients in the rainforest. And one of the ingredients I found, I heard of first, was that the Maya had drank a roasted beverage that was made from the seed of a tree that is an upper canopy tree. And so I got a hold of some, and I roasted it, ground it, right? Tasted it.
Yeah.
And when I tasted it, I went, eureka, because it had this deep coffee-like flavor. It was so amazing. And before that, all
This
my...
is the seed right here, by the way.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
sorry
the
to interrupt,
Ramon
but
seed.
This is the Ramon seed in its dried and roasted form.
It's a hard seed, and it has no fat in it, right? But when you roast it, it develops all these flavors that are very coffee-like. And I wasn't able, before I got a hold of that ingredient, to make a product that tasted just like coffee. And the Ramon seeds gave me that deep, dark, rich flavor to make a French roast or to make a chocolate flavor. I worked with this village called Washaktun. It's in the Maya Biosphere Reserve. And I still work with them to this day. And I took Galen there just this last January.
Right.
Visiting that village again after all these years. We've been doing a crop every year, right? And then they collect. The women told me while we were there, and there was Galen, there with me.
Right.
And of course, here's Galen, a grown man, and he was so little when I started this. And I just had this incredible sense of how much time we've been working together. It makes me cry. And the women said, they would point to this and they'd say, Ramon seed gave us this, Ramon seed gave us that. Because the money that they get it all at once, because the Ramon harvest, the trees drop, right? And they go out and they collect, literally they can collect hundreds of pounds of these seeds.
Not thousands, yeah.
And then they get all this money at once versus, otherwise there's hardly any income there, but it's dribbled out, right? And then they can invest in things. So they invest in their children's school supplies, and they invest in medicine. The women, when I first started going there in 2005, 2006, they didn't speak up. It was always the men. The men were the ones that made all the decisions and how to, These women, they sat on the board of the cooperative, They were so empowered, and one of them is our representative for the rest of the communities for Ramon. And she just went on and on about the Ramon seed. She was such a proponent, and she gets people to get enthusiastic and get out there and collect the seeds. And it's free for them to collect the seeds. They just have to go and pick them up.
But then on this side, you see a little bit more of our packaging operation. So this is where the blended bulk product actually gets packaged into our coffee bags, as well as our tea bags that we were talking about earlier too. So these are the different tea bag machines. That gives you a little idea of sort of the flow of operations here in the Teecchino world.
We have over 40 blends, so I have a lot of fun
You
with
have
this.
all these adaptogen blends now,
I
too,
do.
which
Mushroom
I love.
adaptogens for, helping us cope with stress, which, as we all know,
It's one of our number one
I know.
priorities these days. Yeah.
But when you cope with stress, and when your body reacts better to stress, then your immunity goes up. Because when you're in a stress condition, and by the way, caffeine puts you in a state of stress. People think it gives them energy, but it doesn't. It gives you a state of stress. It puts the body into fight or flight response. But when you calm down stress, then the immune system functions better. Because when you're in that state of stress, the body only wants to just run fast to get away from danger, or go into some kind of this mode, or a fight. They put all the energy goes to the muscles. It goes away from the digestion, which is where our immunity mostly is.
Right.
It's in our digestion, right? It goes away from all that and goes into fight or flight.
Just because it's caffeine-free
Doesn't
mean you don't get the energy, because
you
I
do.
love drinking this, and I'm always boosted.
Yeah.
But it's more of a euphoria feeling than it is that nervous, jittery.
It's not nervous, jittery, and it doesn't jolt you up, but it wakes you up. It's an interesting thing. It really does. And we have tons of people write us, and the question is, what is that? And well, it's probably the potassium. But besides the potassium, there's something called pinnitol, which is natural to carob. And we think that pinnitol also helps boost energy naturally because it talks to your cells. And what people don't understand about caffeine is that it keeps you from going into what's called the stage, which is deep sleep. Not your REM dreaming sleep, but the really deep sleep, and that's where you rebuild and repair your body. Then on top of that, so it's really important to coffee drinkers is acidity. A lot of them have acid reflux or react to the acidity in coffee. And coffee really is highly acidic. I can't drink coffee because it's got caffeine, but also because it's acidic. It burns a hole in my stomach. So Teecchino, with its prebiotic and with its ingredients, it's just not acidic.
Thank you so much, guys. I love being here with you today. This was just so wonderful.
Thank you. It's just a pleasure for us to be talking to you. And thank you for your devotion to Teecchino all these years.
I love it.
Cheers to that, you guys.
Cheers.
Cheers, cheers, cheers.
Yogananda said, change yourself and you will change thousands. One person who really changes themselves can affect tremendous amounts of negativity.
And I'm going to just ask you how you found your passion for the fellowship, for the Self-Realization Foundation.
Yeah, well, I was just growing up in Orange County, a typical kid, and I had an experience of bliss, of joy, and that just, it was overwhelming, and it just came out of, it just knocked me off my feet. And what is this? And it was like a happiness that I had, which if I had this for eternity, I would be happy. I would have no complaints. Okay, well, how do you get this now? And there were people, this was 1969, 70, so there was Ram Dass was speaking in my school all the time, and we have Indian swamis and whatever, and they were coming in, and everyone was talking about this. And so me and my buddy, we started reading books about it, you know, and we were like, who's the most powerful yogi? And he said, look, he said, this we found it, because Yogananda is like amazing.
Yeah.
He had a guru that was like unbelievable. He had a guru that was like even more, and then he has a guru that's, you can't even, inconceivable to human thought.
Right.
It goes far back, so we're fine. We found that, and so then I found Self-Realization Fellowship, which was just up the street, which was really great. And so I just started attending, and it just fell into place.
Wow.
This life is a test. Why did Christ say that ordinary people seek the world, but all who are wise seek the kingdom of God? Because there is your happiness. There is your fulfillment of all the dreams of incarnations.
Now there was an urban tale, and I don't know if it's real or not, that he had a dream of this property and...
Yeah, the person that, McElroy, who put in all these windmill chapel and everything, he sold the property to someone who was going to build a big hotel complex around here, around it. And he had a dream. He saw in the middle of the lake, there was a platform with teachers from all different religions. And they were teaching, they were giving services, and around the lake was an audience of people listening and learning. He woke up and he said, I had the weirdest dream, told his wife. And he went back to sleep, had the same dream again. He woke up again and he went back to sleep. 3 times he had the dream. So he just got up and he went to the phone book and he looked under Church of All Religions, because that was the idea that was in his head, Church of All Religions from the dream. And it said Paramahansa Yogananda, you know, Hollywood Temple. And he called him the next morning, and he said, and he actually wrote a letter to Yogananda, but then he was too anxious. He called him. Yogananda actually got Yogananda, and Yogananda said, so you have some property that I might be interested in? That was the first thing he said before he could even say anything.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so it's a little miracle.
So a lot of people think that Yogananda may have put that in his dreams.
Yeah, somebody did. It was a really powerful story.
There's
the 2 swans.
The 2 swans, the brothers.
Yeah, we had to take the other 2 before. We had to take them up to San Francisco because they weren't getting along or something, and so they went to another place where they lived, and we brought these 2 down about 3 or 4 years ago.
Oh, these are different than the ones I saw years ago.
Yeah, they look the same.
Yeah. First time I was at a fellowship was in San Diego, and I had my magazine, Holistic Health Journal, back. This was in the 90s, and I stopped in because I thought I should know what this is if I'm going to be doing this mag. What is this? And it was closed, but they let me walk around, and I didn't know who Paramahansa Yogananda was at that point, and I I just had the most powerful, I saw my life, like the next chapter, like I was going to move to California, film was in my future, I ended up becoming engaged to a big name film producer, like all of these things that I saw happen, and it was just, I had this moment of just vision and clarity, and that's when I went and read Autobiography of a Yogi, because I was so blown away by what had just happened. I'm like, who is this being that just was with me overlooking the ocean here in San Diego? But I could feel him. I mean, there was no mistaking. There was a presence and pure love. Like, oh my God, just pure unconditional love. I'm from Buffalo originally. And there's a photograph of Paramahansa Yogananda with their arms around each other, him and Mayor Schwab of Buffalo.
Oh, really?
And there's also a poster in the museum from Buffalo of one of Yogananda's events, that because he would tour all over, I guess.
He went to I remember reading, Buffalo as that he went once or twice. And when they started back east, and Buffalo was one of the cities.
Because clearly Yogananda was gifted with this vision, with this passion, in a sense, to come to America and to share this and to bring all religions.
We're dealing with that as all the different religions. We're in the pot together, and we have to figure that out. There can't be someone that's right and go, don't worry, we can figure this out. You step to the side. We're all brothers and sisters, and we have to figure this out by ourselves. And that divine peace is such an integral part of that.
And it's such a powerful message always. But we look at everything going on in the world now, and that's the message. When we destroy another, we destroy ourselves. It's just, we're all one. We're all connected. And that we're all brothers and sisters, like you said.
George Harrison's memorial service was there.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Tom Petty.
Tom Petty, too. Okay.
And different people.
Both
and Elvis used to walk around. Elvis Presley, he loved the place.
Do you know, one of my friends was in the parking lot here one day, and John Wayne had just walked out.
Wow.
You wouldn't think John Wayne would be at an SRF.
No. This had to be a long time ago.
It was a long time ago.
Wow. There's many people that come. Yeah.
So it's fascinating that he had such an impact early on in America, and that, like I say, people in droves. You said thousands and thousands of people would come out to see him wherever he went.
He was incredibly magnetic. He would go out, and word of mouth came, and the people would be turned away. There would be in the auditorium in Los Angeles. There were lines going several times around the place. So there was like thousands, and he was just planting seeds. This is what's possible, and he went all the different cities. When Yogananda said, change yourself and you will change thousands. And he was like, one person who really changes themselves can affect tremendous amounts of negativity, a force of negativity in the world, that you think, well, what's my little prayer? What can my little prayer do? Well, prayer goes out. It goes out into infinity, and it can change the thoughts and actions of many, many people.
I'm here with Dr. Curley today. That is your nickname, but your professional name is Dr. Jones-Brown.
Correct.
And you are a general psychiatrist.
Yes, I am.
Yes, but you have a lot of experience with children.
Yes, I do. I have 5 children of my own, 7 grandchildren, and my husband and I started a program for youth, a nonprofit called Senses for youth and young adults. And we started that maybe 10 years ago.
Right.
So we've had a lot of experience with young people.
So could you speak to me a little bit about how a tragedy like this affects children?
When you get the children are older, like teens, they're still trying to find themselves in the world, and it really hits them hard. Some of them don't really want to talk. And I think it's really important that parents talk to their children to explain what is happening, what just happened in our city, in our country. And so another thing that we can do for the youth as well as for the adults is if they're having any symptoms of increased stress, increased anxiety, acute stress disorder, they should call for help, call for intervention.
And there are a lot of clinics open now,
Oh, my
correct? I mean,
goodness,
like, that's the
yes.
beautiful.
Yes.
I've got to say, the response to this tragedy has been amazing. The amount of love pouring out for the community, the amount of resources available right now.
Yes, yes.
And there's nothing like, we had Melissa on the show
That's
last
right,
week,
that's
Melissa
right,
Archer,
that's right.
who is your niece.
Yes, she is.
And
My lovely niece.
and she said, and it's such an important point, there is nothing, there's no shame in mental health.
Exactly.
We have physical health at school, but we have no mental health programs.
Mental health.
And mental health is every bit as important as our physical health.
God.
Why do we not have this in our
Maybe even
schools?
More, yes.
Yeah, maybe
yes.
even more. Exactly.
Yes, and I'm going to tell you, I'm 74 years old, and this threw me for a loop, and I have a lot of training and everything. So can you imagine most people?
Without the tools, that don't have tools.
Please reach out for help. I'm going to just say a few words about mental health in the African American community. As a psychiatrist, what I find is that most of the people that reach out to me are not from my community of origin. And there is a lot of issues as to why the African American community has not reached out for mental health over the years and the decades. Actually, there's a whole history. But I'm here to tell you that mental health is the most important health of all, because you could be in perfect physical shape, but if your mind is depressed, confused, going through psychosis or anything like that, you can be the most healthy person, but if your mind is suffering, the whole body suffers.
Everything suffers.
Everything suffers. Sometimes people, this is across the board, all people, all races, they stuff things down inside of them. Sometimes they try to self-medicate with alcohol, drugs, and so forth, as a way of dealing with thoughts that are worrisome.
Right. Quell the thoughts.
Yes, to quell the thoughts, to make them feel more, for a short while, at ease. But really, you have to deal with these issues head on, or they become generational. We've got to deal with our issues so that it doesn't become generational. And something that I heard today, thanks to you, is that there's a lot of generational hate in our country and obviously in the world. But the only way to combat generational hate is with generational love.
Thank you. Oh my God, you are amazing.
Thank you.
I love you. You're awesome.
And my sister.
My sister. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining us today. You can see us each week on Tuesday and Thursday night at 8 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. on your MeTV hometown station of WBBZ. Also, you can go to our YouTube channel at Passionate Living TV or to our website, passionateliving.com. And I send you love and hugs wherever you are. We'll see you next week.